You are Locked On Warriors Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And coming into tonight, the Dallas Mavericks were the hottest team in the NBA, having won 7 consecutive games. But the Warriors put a stop to that with a 104-100 win at Chase Center, moving their record at home back up to 500. Andrew Wiggins led the way offensively with 23 big-time points for the Warriors in this one, but it was the grit and intensity from the entire roster, top to bottom, that really told the story tonight for the Dubs. The Dubs' 5-game win streak is now the longest current win streak in the NBA, taking that title from the Dallas Mavericks, and they are giving us a lot to be excited about at the right time of the year. How are you feeling about your Dubs going into the postseason stretch at this point? We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and thank you so much if you're getting us on the Locked On Warriors podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Warriors Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. This one, Mavs got off to a pretty hot start, but hit 3 3-pointers before the Warriors even got a point on the board. And it was off to the races after that. Clay in the first quarter had a nice cool moment past Kyle Korver for 6th all-time in 3-pointers in NBA history. Congrats, Clay. He will continue to climb up that list as his career goes on with the Golden State Warriors. And TJD, nice night tonight early on. He had a big lefty spike over Gafford, one of the league's best defenders in the paint this season. And about halfway through the first quarter, the Warriors put the clamps back on defense and worked themselves back into this game. In the middle of all this was the worst, maybe the worst. I mean, I'm losing count now. I'm sure there's one. You can probably dig one up somewhere. I know there's tons of compilations of the worst Steph Curry non-calls in history. And tonight you can pile onto that list because Daniel Gafford just lands on top. Like, how many 7-footers got to land on top of Steph? Daniel Gafford just lands right on top of Steph. His whole upper half of his body is bent over and is coming down onto Steph's head and his arms as he's trying to shoot a layup. And no foul is called. All the while, Dante Exum is pushing Steph into Daniel Gafford. So I have no idea how that was not called. Steph was in such shock and disbelief that he just stayed down on the offensive end of the court while the rest of the team ran back on defense so he could just yell at the official. How often you see Steph Curry yelling at an official? Almost never. So for Steph to get that frustrated about something, especially a call, that's a big deal. And it's embarrassing, man. At a certain point, the NBA has got to learn how to actually get these calls right, especially with your superstars like Steph. He's 36, and this is still happening. We've been talking about this his entire career, and it has not gotten any better. If anything, it's gotten worse. I mean, tonight was inexcusable. I don't know how you missed that call. Anyways, the Warriors continue to rally back. They closed out the quarter well. Chris Paul basically did it himself, all of it, in that 2-for-1 at the end there, swatting the ball away from Kyrie, not letting the Mavs get a shot off in that final possession, while also draining a mid-range jumper on the prior possession for the Warriors. So CP3 with a really nice night tonight. The entire bench with a really nice night tonight. We'll get into the bench a little bit later. Big storyline in this one here. And the Warriors, though, again, the first quarter hallmark for the Warriors this season is a bunch of turnovers, and that's kind of what kept the Mavs hanging around in this game early on. While the Warriors were shooting the lights out early on, shooting from 3, they were above 55% for the majority of the first half. I think they went into halftime with about 57% from 3-point land, and the Mavs were hanging there right there with them. So the Warriors really should have been leading the Mavericks at half by probably at 7-8 points, but turnovers, man, just letting the Mavs hang around in this one. And you can't have that. We've talked about this relentlessly over and over and over and over, but that was a big key in this one as to how the Warriors won the second half. Was in the fourth quarter, they only had one turnover there, and they played excellent defense without fouling. There was runs back and forth in this one. The Warriors had a big 19-2 run in that second quarter. It was 11 turnovers in that first half. So just entirely too many, shooting yourself in the foot constantly. 42% from the field, 57% from three for the Warriors. Steph was the only Warrior in double figures with 11. This was all the halftime info. And 8 different Warriors with 2 or more buckets at the half. It was really contributions from everyone tonight. And that has been kind of what we say in almost every single Warriors win. When the bench contributes, when there's more than just Steph and Clay and maybe one other guy offensively, the Warriors seem to win. And tonight it was Wiggins. Wiggins came through again, big time. And we've been saying this more and more lately. Wiggins has really been playing his best basketball in this last week or so, since this road trip really turned him on. Like that Minnesota game, he disappeared, and since then he has really been playing great basketball, and he continues that stretch tonight, which is huge for the Warriors. He is, as we've said, the pivot point for this team. If he plays well, this team is going to win a lot more than they're going to lose. When he's not on his game, when he's not aggressive, when he's not attacking, when he's not hitting 3-pointers, when he's not playing lockdown defense, the Warriors have problems winning games. In coming out of halftime, the Mavs did spur a run that spanned late second quarter, early third quarter, 21-2 run for the Mavs. It put them up double digits, but Andrew Wiggins had his best quarter of the game in that third quarter, 12 points by Andrew Wiggins in that third quarter. The Warriors responded to that Mavericks run with a 10-2 run of their own. Wiggins hitting a couple of threes during that run to fuel that stretch. Moses Moody also contributed a lot in that third quarter, hitting a leaner in a leaner three that was a really tough shot. Kind of reminded me of like a Klay Thompson little leaner, and he's been on fire lately. Moses Moody, another double-digit game for him off the bench. That is now 4 double-digit games in a row for Moses Moody, and he's been shooting the lights out. I mean, since I think he's 12 for his last 20, I heard Fitz say on the broadcast from 3. That's huge. That's absolutely huge bench contribution from Moses Moody, and that's something that the Warriors have been able to take to the bank this year, is bench contributions. Massive contribution from the bench tonight. 14-3 scoring run later in that third quarter as well. So again, this game really hallmarked by runs back and forth by each team. In that fourth quarter there, you saw second chance points continuing to be a big factor as well for the Warriors. Wiggins with a little push shot after a Looney offensive board you saw there early in the fourth. And in the Warriors with another clutch game, 44th clutch game of the season for the Warriors. And the Mavericks have the highest winning percentage in the NBA in these clutch games. So excellent job by the Warriors in the fourth quarter. In this one, Draymond had an unbelievable block against Daniel Gafford in the paint in that fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. And I don't know how he came up with the ball at the end of it. Just a brilliant defensive play by Draymond Green. And then he makes a layup on the other end with about a minute left to put the Warriors up 8. And you felt like that was the end of it there. But the Mavs continued to hit threes to stay alive in this one. And how about that defense from Draymond Green on that Mavs final possession, that on Kyrie Irving in the corner, forcing a very, very, very tough 3-point shot. Kyrie's shot hits the side of the backboard and bounces out of bounds. And that was all she wrote in this one. Again, Warriors with the 104-100 win in Chase Center. The win moves the Warriors to 7 games above 500, 41-34 on the season, and back to 500 at home, 19-19 at Chase Center. And maybe the Warriors have figured out how to win at Chase Center. This was a big win for the Warriors, a win that showed their cojones, if you will, because, I mean, they needed this one. Again, neck and neck with the Rockets. You got Houston as your next matchup, and you don't want to go into that game with the opportunity for Houston to tie. if they had lost this one and Houston wins before they face off again, that gives them the opportunity to tie the Warriors, although the Dubs would own the tiebreaker still, in that final spot in the Western Conference playoff race in that 10th seed. So you don't want to be in that position going into Houston. An excellent win against two Warriors killers. We talked last time the Warriors played the Dallas Mavericks, why they kill the Warriors seemingly every time they play each other. At least two guys in particular, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, are just certified Warriors killers. And it's nice to see them get their first win against the Mavericks this season. They'll play the Mavericks again later this week. After they play Houston, they play the Mavs in a back-to-back. That is going to be a tough one. The difference in this matchup, Steph Curry and Draymond Green played against the Dallas Mavericks. That's always a good thing for your team, right? When your two star players actually play in the games. The last time these two matched up, the Warriors didn't have either of those guys. And although Steph was there in the first meeting between the two teams this season, Draymond missed that one as well. So great to have your whole team, your whole roster, with the exception of Jonathan Kuminga, who we'll get to on the other side. A little Kuminga update for you guys. But with the exception of Kuminga, the Warriors were whole tonight, and they played like it. They played great, especially Andrew Wiggins, who really filled the void of no John Kuminga tonight. Andrew Wiggins stepped into that scoring role and has been really stroking it, be above 40% from three-point land for Wiggins this season. He's been playing really well as of late. Jonathan Kuminga update on the other side for you guys. Got to break down the bench scoring in this one. That was really big. And again, huge fourth quarter comeback for the Warriors in this one. Second chance points really big as well. We'll break it all down on the other side. Locked On Warriors postcast rolls on. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Locked On Sports Bay Area is brought to you by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off of our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get at you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. So today I want to say how I really feel about something. You may even be thinking about the same thing as well this week. And I mean, this Warriors team's still stressing me out, especially all these up and down Jekyll and Hyde performances at home. You never know what you're getting. Are the Houston Rockets really going to pass them? Man, that's enough stress to worry about on top of my everyday stressors that can weigh me down. And, therapy can be different for everyone, but most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams. And it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. And that's where BetterHelp can help you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible, and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast on the Locked On Sports Bay Area channel. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer from the Murph and Mac show on KMBR. And tonight, the Warriors got it done with 104-101 win over the Dallas Mavs. Massive, massive, massive contribution from Andrew Wiggins tonight. And really all up and down this roster. 6 different Warriors in double figures. Moses Moody and Chris Paul off the bench in double figures. In a lot of it was second chance points tonight. Huge contributions on the offensive boards. As always, the Warriors seem to clean up on the offensive rebounds. 12 of them for the Warriors tonight. 3 by Looney, 2 by GP2, who I just got to say for a second, GP2 is just an Energizer bunny, man. He was mic'd up and all over the court tonight on both sides of the ball. It seems like every single time he touches the ball, he is in the paint, cutting to the rim, ready to get a good look at the rim with a layup or throw it down. And he's always moving in transition, defensively active. You saw him on Luka a lot tonight. And, of course, Luka still did his damage. 30 points for Luka tonight, 27 for Kyrie, by the way. But GP2, throwing everything he could at Luka. And as far as I'm concerned, every time you keep Luka under 40, you good job, because that man is a monster on offense. And he has so many tools to hurt you with: the step back, the game in the paint. He can shoot all those awkward leaners that change of speed, change of direction. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he is shifty, and man, does he have a nice shooting touch. So Luka, one of the hardest players in the NBA to slow down, and GP2, I thought, did a nice job of it tonight in his limited minutes against Luka when he was out there on the court. 16 minutes played tonight for GP2, but all over the place, just an Energizer bunny. Like I said, when he was mic'd up, you saw in the broadcast, he's dapping up some of the Warriors dance crew as they're leaving the court from their pregame routine, but while the Warriors were warming up, and he's just everywhere, man. He's good vibes, spreading all of this good energy around the team, good particles all around, and that's what you want. You need guys like that to make a championship run and keep things light. For every guy like Draymond that you need, who's going to come with that passion and fire and intensity and demand excellence from everybody, you need someone to kind of lighten the room, and that's what GP2 does, and also contributes, lockdown defense and some nice electric dunks and just flying all over the court, grabbing loose balls. He is the perfect kind of glue guy that you need in the NBA. Great night from him and the rest of the bench as well. The Warriors bench just dominated this one, opposed to the Mavericks. Completely took possession of the game because of the bench scoring, and the Warriors really have been expecting some of these types of performances from their bench as of late. And even with moving Klay Thompson back to the starting lineup, they have stepped up. And I think that's important to note, because this has kind of freed up space for Moses Moody to shine a little bit since Kuminga has gone down with injuries. And I did tell you guys we'd have a Kuminga update. So here it is. Kuminga, although he missed tonight, he is going to be back. He has been playing 3-on-3s in practice, and he's going to come back against the Houston Rockets. The Warriors wanted him to be 100% before he returned to the court, and that's key. They're going to need Kuminga, obviously, for a legitimate playoff run. And they wanted to ramp him up after having a week off, rather than just throwing him right back into the lineup. So again, Kuminga playing 3-on-3 in practice looks okay, but they wanted to give him just a little bit more time to ramp up before he plays, and he will play against Houston Thursday. So Warriors are going to get Kuminga back. They're playing excellent basketball right now. Everything seems to be going the Dubs' way, and I'm curious if you guys think that this Warriors team, how do they stand? How do you think that their playoff situation looks going forward? I think that this is probably the best you could ask for, given what was happening after the last homestand. This is where the Warriors should be based on your best expectations. If you looked at that roster, did some forward forecasting, this is where you would be where they would be if you're an optimist. If you're sitting there saying, well, they could beat this team and they should beat that team, this is where they should be if you're that type of optimist. And that's kind of what I had pegged the Warriors. I guess I am a glass half full kind of guy. But you want to see your team in the playoffs. Everybody does. But there's no way that Stephen, Klay, and Draymond are going to go down to the Houston Blanking Rockets without a fight. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to let the Rockets bully you out of the playoffs. There's no way that they're going to let that happen. And tonight, the Warriors got it done. Andrew Wiggins, huge, 23 points for the Warriors to lead the way. And Draymond Green, I should mention, very active on the defensive side of the ball, as he always is. 4 steals tonight, a block, changed a ton of shots as well for the Dallas Mavericks. You saw that shot that Kyrie Irving kind of just threw up at the end there. Excellent performance all around from the Warriors. The bench, huge contributions from the bench. I mean, what are you going to say? 36 points from the Warriors and only 13 points from the Dallas Mavericks bench. You're going to win a lot of games if your bench is outscoring your opponents by 20 plus points. It's something that they've come to expect, though. And it's, I think, very impressive that they've been able to keep that rolling, despite Klay Thompson, who's been excellent as a bench player. He was okay tonight. 14 points for Klay, 5 of 14 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3. Not his best night. But he made shots when it mattered, made a couple threes there in the fourth, and it was some big buckets for Clay, and that's what he did in their prior matchup too. Their last time out against the Spurs, this is exactly what the Warriors did then too, or exactly what Klay Thompson did then too. This game felt very similar to that one. A very tight fourth quarter game, a game that was hallmarked by runs on either side, back and forth. And it was good to see the Warriors come out on top in this one. I should mention Trayce Jackson-Davis also drew the start in this one, snagged 10 boards, 4 points. Nice night from Trayce. Didn't impose his will in the paint as much as I thought he was going to. The way he started out this game, he was getting points in the paint early on, and I thought, man, is he gonna take it at Gafford the same way he was kind of taking it at Wemby at certain points in that Spurs game? Like, is Trayce just feeling himself? And he kind of cooled off offensively after that, but did his job on the defensive side of the ball, being that anchor in the interior and pulling down rebounds. So a great win tonight for the Warriors. Excellent second half. That third quarter, big time separation for the Warriors from the Mavs as they won that quarter 31-25, and big time bench points difference again. 30 plus points for the Warriors bench, 13 points for the Dallas Mavericks bench. You're going to win a lot of games if your bench outscores your opponent like that. So again, Warriors, Houston Rockets, their next matchup on Thursday, gonna be a big one, and that goes without saying. All of these games are must-win games down the stretch, but that game, man, is if there's something more than a must-win, that is more than a must-win for this Warriors team going down the stretch. They need that one. Every game they need every game they can get right now, but that one you cannot lose to the team that is right on your heels, chasing you for the playoffs. Stick with us on the Locked On Warriors postcast. We got to take a quick break. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. More on the other side. We will be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And I love the last minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into. They got it all. Zone deals are pretty sweet too. If you know you want to go see the Giants and you know you want to sit in a specific part of the yard, like on the right field wall, or maybe you want to get rowdy in the left field bleachers, you just choose a section and let Gametime choose the seats and then save even more cash. And of course, you got to love the all-in pricing. Make sure to toggle this feature on to show the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. I hate surprise fees, so that sounds great to me. Take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for a $20 off discount. Download Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Warriors postcast on the Locked On Sports Bay Area channel. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. And tonight, the Warriors' 104-101 victory over the Dallas Mavericks at Chase Center brings them back to 500 at home and gives them another key win, this time against an opponent they may see in the playoffs early on, the Dallas Mavericks. And excellent win by the Warriors tonight. Again, Andrew Wiggins leading the way. And we haven't talked much about Steph Curry in this one. He had a pretty pedestrian game, but he did a little bit of everything. 13 points for Steph, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Steph even picked up a couple of blocks in this one, a steal. He did turn the ball over 4 times. So an up and down game for Steph, 5 of 18 from the field in 32 minutes, 3 of 5 from 3-point land. It was up and down for Steph, and he was getting physically manhandled out there for the whole night. This was a very physical game. The Warriors were really physical with Luka, the same way the Mavs were really physical with Steph. And the Warriors were trying other things because I feel like Steph was, he finally got going with the shot, 30-point game in their last outing, but he hasn't really been pouring it on the way that he has been the rest of the season. And you wonder if he's starting to slow down a little bit. I mean, he is 36, and the Warriors have asked a ton from him this year. I mean, he's been the one constant. Draymond has been, in and out of the lineup with the suspensions, and Wiggins has had personal issues, and Clay has had to go to the bench and been up and down, and Kuminga didn't start the season as the player that he is now. So there's been a lot of growth with this team, and Steph has really put this Warrior squad on his back for a large duration of this season. And you see the 300 plus threes, the fifth time in his career that he's done that. Only 2 other times has another player done that in the NBA. Klay Thompson, one of them. And it's really tough to continue to ask this of your 36-year-old superstar. He is so glad, I'm sure, to get some additional offensive contributions. Like, how often is Steph your third, fourth leading scorer in a game? Not too often for the Warriors lately this year. So excellent job getting Steph some help. If you listened to KMBR this morning, you heard Mark Spears say that he thinks the Warriors need a major overhaul for them to be competitive next year with Stephen Curry. And if they keep playing like this, maybe they don't need a complete overhaul. Maybe Wiggins, if he can continue keep playing the way he has been, he'll make a case for himself to stay on the roster next year as a major contributor. But maybe the Warriors just use that stock that he's built up as something to pivot off of. Maybe you try and sell Andrew Wiggins as a sell high piece if he finishes the season on a high note, and try and get something back for Steph. And Kuminga obviously will continue to develop, but they just feel like they're lacking another guy who can handle the ball and contribute offensively, really run the show when Steph isn't out there. And yeah, they got Chris Paul, but he's the third oldest guy in the NBA. You can't keep riding that horse. Otherwise, the wheels are going to fall off, and they need Chris Paul in the postseason to be competitive. They flat out do. Again, Warriors 104-100 win over the Dallas Mavericks brings the Warriors to 41-34 on the season, 7 games over 500, their highest mark of the season, the most wins that they've had over 500 the entire year. So the Warriors playing great basketball down the stretch at the right time. This is where you would hope they would be at this point in the season if you started projecting a couple weeks ago. So excellent job by the Warriors to pick up a win in this one. And they got to win again in Houston on Thursday night. That game, 5 o'clock tip on Thursday. And then they'll face the Mavericks Friday on a back-to-back, second game of a back-to-back, 5:30 p.m. Huge week for the Dubs. That's about all the time we have for you in this one. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. This has been the Locked On Warriors Postcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Peace.